Right, so everyone, we are back to do another episode of Gundog Basics. So where we left off last time, we've talked about doing straight sends and all the body positioning that goes with that. I also started teaching the backs with both hands, so having the dog turn to our right to go back if we use our right hand, and the same on our other side with our left hand. Now I always generally prefer to teach a straight send first, then the back retrieves, then I teach the lefts and rights. Ironically, the lefts and rights are easier, which is why I do the backs first. I find it tends to create less confusion and disruption. So once I've got the dog doing straight sends, backs on both sides with my lefts and rights, then we can start doing separate lefts and rights, and that's what we're going to cover today, and the little bits and pieces that go with that to try and make that go really well for you guys. So we're going to get out in the field with Billy and we're going to do a little bit of training, aren't we? Right, let's go. Right, so we're coming out into this nice, clear, short grass field. And the reason we want nice, short grass is because we are trying to reduce the amount of distractions going on. So I've come in this field. This time of year, it's nice and short. We've got a fence line on one side, and then we've got a nice open field on the other side. When I first start teaching any of my retrieves, I'm always trying to use some sort of lane, whether that be a track, a fence, a curb, sometimes in a car park using the white lines, because dogs love to follow lines. Now that can cause problems later on, but at the beginning, it helps us. So we're going to be doing the retrieves with the dog with his back to the fence, and then we're going to be doing some basic lefts and rights. I'm going to start off explaining that. I'm sure you'll find this confusing because we do it at a much more advanced level, and whenever I go back and do more basic stuff, it tends to throw them a little bit, but we're going to try and cover all the important parts of the basic lefts and rights. Right everyone, so we're going to do a little video on the lefts and rights now. I'm going to talk you through the bits that are essential that go with this. Okay, so when we first start doing our bits of training, you'll always see me using my little training leads. These are really essential at the beginning. They allow me to have really good control of the dog with minimum fuss, and sort of if your dog goes wrong, you're able to stop the dog without really having to do very much, which is really, really important. If you're looking for any training leads or products, just go to our Facebook page, Spaniel Training Kit, where you can order anything you like. Just let us know. So the very first thing with lefts and rights is that we want to make this really, really easy. Okay, so I'm going to show you to the camera a bit like this. Good boy, Billy, sit. Okay, so when you first start doing this, it'll be very puppy-like. It's not formal or anything like that. What we're looking to do, for this, I'm going to use a high-vis dummy because this is just all about the dog seeing the dummy, reading the instruction, and then following through correctly. So I'm going to chuck this out to the right to him. Okay, now what's really important at the beginning is that the dog is absolutely straight on. Same with the straight sends and the back retrieve body position. Your dog is learning to go true left and right, 90 degrees left and right, based off the position facing you. So if your dog is facing a different position every time, that messes with that dog's natural compass that's based off you. Now, when you first start going to pick these, you probably want to stand right in front of the dog, and it's going to be very, very puppy-like. It almost doesn't look like a proper send. I just want that dog to go right. So it normally starts like this. Go on. That's all I'm looking for. Good boy. So at the beginning, when I first start teaching this, I'm not actually using a whistle dead. Good boy. Here, sit. Okay, so I'll do the same on the other side. When I put the retrieve out, also, guys, I stand really close to the dog because he's likely to move when you first start doing this. So if you're stood right in front of the dog, you can straighten them up. Also, I want him to learn to turn and go straight. So the same thing here. I'm just going to lean over and send him like that. He's probably thinking, why am I doing this? This was months ago. Sit. Good boy. Dead. Left hand lead, right hand retrieve. I can stand up. I can use the lead to make him sit if he's monkeying about. So the next stage is I'm going to put a little bit of whistle in. So he's moved there. So now I can just straighten him up with the lead. Okay. So the first thing with this, I do a stop whistle. I drop my hand to my hip, and I'm looking to push out from my hip. So a lot of people do this, that. It seems harmless, and the dog will probably still get it wrong at short distances. But as you increase the distances out, everything that you are showing the dog is getting more and more watered down. So I like to get my clients in a really good habit of having nice, clear instructions. So I say hi, stop, drop to your hip, so your hand is touching your hip, and you're looking to push out as if you're pushing your hand along a tabletop. You're not looking to cut the bottom corner of this out. Stop, drop, push. Okay, so we're going to do that now. Good boy, good boy. Sit, good lad. Left hand lead, right hand retrieve, back round. Good boy, sit. Okay, good boy. Yeah, sit, good. Okay, so I'll do the same on the other side. Again, if he moves, you can straighten him up. I can stand a little bit further back this time. Now, if he goes to flinch, a lot of dogs, what I'll say I'll do is I'll do a stop whistle. Stop whistle often will precede the command. And a lot of dogs will start to move on the stop whistle. Stop whistle doesn't mean move. It means sit and pay attention. A lot of people ask me why I do that when the dog is already sat. Good question, and the reason is for later, I'm looking to splice two bits of training together. When you've been doing straight sends or memories or blinds, and you first start stopping the dog to redirect it, your dog needs to recognize that sequence. And that sequence starts here when you first start doing this. You're doing a stop whistle, a high stop, and then you're going into your left, right, or your back. And so if you start this now, when we splice those two bits of training together, the 3-card trick, which are backs, lefts and rights, and your straight sends, the dog will recognize that sequence. So it starts with that stop whistle, and then I push the dog out to the side. Okay, good boy. Good lad. Good boy. Now, when I first start normally doing this, I'm doing this to camera so you can see me, I would be doing this with the dog's back to a fence. Dogs love following straight lines, and they are there to help us. You want nice short grass and some sort of straight line. You don't want to stick the dog in the hedge. You want to come away a little bit, okay, maybe a meter, 2 meters, but that natural line will help guide the dog. Okay, so once you're sort of up to this range and you're doing a stop whistle, you drop into your hip and you're pushing your dog left or right, you can slowly start to increase that distance out. Now I'm going to turn him around the other way now to show you. So we're going to do a multiple retrieve now. So you can see here, I'm bringing him out about, that's a good couple of meters, maybe 3 meters away. Now, when you first start putting multiple retrieves out, you want to stand right in front of the dog. So what I'll do is I'll put the retrieve out. Now, if he moves, now I can just straighten him up. Okay. Same on the other side. Again, stand nice and close to the dog. Now, whatever happens, he must start off facing you. He can't favor one or the other. And when I start doing a multiple, I always send the dog for the retrieve I threw first. So I generally always throw my right one, followed by my left. Because he's seen that one go down last, that's probably the one he's most tempted for. But that's why I'm going to send him for that. He must be able to see these retrieves at this stage. This is not about hunting an area out. This is about reading a command, making the correct choice, and then picking the retrieve. So now with him, I don't need to necessarily use a line now. We've moved beyond that. But when I first start doing these sorts of distances, I might still have a line on when I'm this far back. It's no hassle. It just means if the dog is still getting things wrong, you're able to stop them with minimum fuss. So I'm going to do a left and a right. Now he's leaning towards the left side there, which if I wasn't too bothered about which one I was going to send him for, I'd definitely be sending him the opposite way to the direction he's indicating he wants to go. So when I did that stop, I could see him leaning to this side. So I'm definitely sending him right. Good boy. So I've stepped forward now, sit. I've stepped forward to meet him, dead, on the spot, sit, where I sent him from. So if I put that one back out again, so he's moved again, so I can just straighten him up. So even if I was right back here, as soon as I sent him, I'm rushing forwards to meet him on that spot. That way I can take the retrieve off and sit him up and go into the next retrieve. Like that, good. Back onto his spot. He comes back, he sits. I can take the retrieve off and dead. Good lad. Back round, sit him up, and you're ready to go into your next retrieve. So I can put that one back out again. Now, if that retrieve fell awkwardly that way or into the hedge, I would walk out and put it back again. He must be able to turn and see those retrieves straight away. An experienced dog, sit Billy, an experienced dog will turn and then run. An inexperienced dog will often run slightly towards you as it turns, see the retrieve, and then straighten up. And that's why at the beginning, these retrieves must always be visible. If they are not visible, your dog will not learn to turn and run in a straight line. And that's going to aid you later when the dog can't see the retrieves. It's got in a habit of basing its position off you, turning 90 degrees or back even, and then running in a straight line. But if it hasn't got in that habit, it can end off at all different angles, and then you're struggling to pick retrieves. Okay, so you want to increase this distance out very gradually, guys. Don't increase this distance out too quickly. Until I'm probably 20 yards back, I probably won't throw those dummies much further than that. They must be about, I don't know, something like 18, 20 feet away from him. Once I can sort of do 20, 30 feet away from him, then I might reduce my distance down a little bit and start throwing those a little bit further. When he shows me he can do those at a further distance, then I'll add distance out again that I'm stood from him. And eventually you'll be doing a lot of running to and from the spot, because the distances he is going is a long way and the distance that you're sending him is a long way. In my new Charlie vlogs episode that's coming out soon, you'll see me doing some distance retrieving. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. Billy, sit. Hope you've enjoyed this. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Any questions, stick them in the description below. Happy training, guys. Come on, Billy.